You have said that it's not who you know, it's who knows you. What do you mean by that?
So my whole content career has been about trying to change the way people think about money, but I'd like to change the way people think a lot of things. And so we've been told most of our life, it's not who you are, it's who you know, which there's a lot of truth to that. There's 3 types of capital. Most of us focus on the financial piece, but the relationship capital is like the most important. So it is who you know. But what I found over the last couple of years of creating content is it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
And what's the story here?
I mean, there's a lot of stories, but let me give you, I can tell you dozens. I mean, when we connected, I saw one of our mutual friends, Cody Sanchez, was connected with you. I think I reached out to you and then you're like, oh yeah, I know who you are.
Yeah.
Right. So like that's a simple example. Let me give you a better example. A couple of years ago, I was speaking at the Bitcoin conference in Miami, 35,000 people there. And there's all kinds of parties going on for like a week in Miami.
2 years ago?
It was 2021.
Oh, I just missed you.
And, I was at one of the companies I work with. They had like this little party going on, and some of my friends that were there, like, hey, we're going to go over to this other party for TVP. I'm like, okay, I don't know who that is or who it is, whatever, but I'll go. So we went over there. It's Trammell Venture Partners is a venture cap fund in the Bitcoin space, the biggest venture capital fund. So I walk into the party, and it was their launch. It was their launch party. So I walk in, and they came over like, oh, Mark, we're so glad that you're here. We're honored to have you. But I didn't know who they were. I was like, cool, well, great to meet you guys. What do you guys got going on? Oh, this VC fund, blah, blah, blah. Well, now I'm an advisor. I have equity in the business. And so I got a deal of this VC fund by showing up to a party where they knew me and I didn't know them.
Got it. And you had another story around iHeart too. I think that's a fascinating deal as well.
So a couple of years ago, I got a random message from some guy. Hey, my name's Joe, and I'd love to talk to you about getting you on the radio and doing some shows. You know, I'm a big fan, and I work with iHeart. And I'm like, okay, like, we get so many DMs all the time of stuff that I don't know, but I'm like, okay, we'll check it out, right? So I hit him up, and he's the second highest guy at the iHeart Media network, and he was just a fan. He's like, dude, I've been watching your stuff. He's like, nobody does what you do. The way that you intersect politics, finance, and technology together, like nobody's really doing that. He's like, I want to bring it to a bigger audience. I'd love to have you on iHeart. I was like, okay. And so that opened up a big door. And let me tell you kind of where this got started in my brain. I mean, we can go way back, but I've been on the internet for a long time doing paid ads. We can get into how I got into content in the first place. But what really kicked me off of this ledge was I've been part of like the ClickFunnels community for a long time. I was out at Funnel Hacking Live, and I go there a bunch, right? Got all those awards on my wall, whatever. But Russell Brunson was on stage, and I think he had Prince EA was there, and he like pulls out his phone. He's like on stage. He's like, oh, I just sent him a DM, and then Prince is like, oh, Russell, like I'm a big fan, and he's like, no way, I'm a big fan, and I just thought, how could anyone ever be a big fan of me if I don't put content out there? And I was like, they can't. And so that sort of feeds into this whole, it's not who you are, it's who you know kind of thing. One more story about this. At the end of 2021, some of my friends from Austin, the Austin community, part of the Cody community, they wanted to do this little event at the end of 2021, and they were calling it like a Founding Fathers 2.0. They wanted to get people in from like different niches to say like, what do you see in the world? Like what kind of attack vectors are we looking at? How do we prepare for this kind of thing? So we get together in this meeting, right? And Hal Elrod and whatever, right? So I show up to Tucker Max's office, Scribe Media, whatever it is, right? Well, he sold it now. Yep. But I walk in, and Hal Elrod is best time, selling author or whatever. I knew who he was. I've heard him on podcasts, whatever. I never met him. So he's sitting there on a chair like this in the lobby. I walk in, and he's looking at his phone like this, and he looks up, and he's like,
the same video.
He's like, Mark? He's like, dude, I'm listening to a conversation with you and Robert Breedlove right now. I was like, cool. I thought he was Tucker Max. I didn't know because I hadn't met either of them at the point, right? So we go in the big boardroom, and there's like all the books on the wall, and we're just talking, and I'm just assuming he's Tucker, right? And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, I'm not Tucker. I'm Hal Elrod. I was like, oh, no way, dude. I'm a big fan. He's like, I'm a big fan. And it was like, that was exactly what Russell Brunson had said on stage.
Love it.
I'm a big fan. No, I'm a big fan. And like, here we were.